Hello, YouTubers.
Yet again.
Twice in 1 week.
And we meet again, YouTube, you sons of bitches.
You're still here, we see.
This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. It sucks.
It sure does. Welcome back to This List Sucks. I'm JB.
I'm Mike.
And we have a special guest, Mr. J Money, today.
J Money in the house.
Yes.
That's right. Legally changed the name. Got my passport renewed, updated, and everything. Traveling in style now.
I love it. Justin Handel is back in the studio. Not in the studio, in the virtual studio today. This is like your fourth time on. Is that right?
I think it's 5.
5?
So yeah, this is my third show of doing the 5 albums, and I think I've done a spot for In Rainbows because I will obsessively defend that album till the day I die. And then maybe there was a snubs list or something.
Yes.
Yep, that sounds right. So this is your 5th appearance overall.
MVP.
Definitely. Welcome back.
Have it. Yeah. I mean, next time we see you, we'll have to give you your 5-timers jacket.
I was just going to ask. Yeah.
SNL. Yeah. Ours isn't crushed red velvet, though.
Sorry.
Good. I mean, I have way too many black velvet with the shawl collar tux jackets. Like too many, honestly.
Yeah.
That's good.
In the velvet jacket department, yeah.
Yeah, we're probably just going to go to Goodwill and find something under $10 and take some black electrical tape and make a 5 on the back of it.
It probably won't even fit you.
Yeah. How tall are you again?
As long as it's too small, not too big.
Somehow it's going to be both.
Somehow it'll, yeah. So the arms will be too short, but it'll hang to my knees.
That's right. We're going to have the body entirely oversized, as if 2 of you could fit into the body, but the arms will only come down to your elbows.
That's right.
I and in Brooklyn, people are going to be like,
"Yo,
you an actor? You a model?
Is that
dog? What's that 5 for, son?"
Is that a German or an Italian Pilsner you're drinking there, Justin?
It's still German.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Hold on. German Pilsner.
Before we got on here, we were discussing the merits of Italian Pilsners versus German.
Look, I will say that it's a lot more bitter than other Pilsners I enjoy, but I think their branding and their naming, Kilsner by Killsborough, Kilsner. Hey, props for that.
Yeah, that's good marketing.
I see what they did there.
Because it's like kills, rhymes with,
Yeah, I get it.
But yeah, there is one record this week that kind of made us think of inviting Justin to join for the episode, but somehow in one day he managed to listen to all 5 of them. So we're really impressed and thankful that you're willing to put the time in on that. So thanks, Justin. And he's going to be here to talk about an entire episode's worth of 5 albums.
Hey, before we get into that, though, I stopped at the record store the other day and I was flipping through new records the other day. That wasn't the other day. That was this morning. Yeah. This morning I went to the record store and I was flipping through records. Did you know that Jack White released a new record? Because we just talked about how he's going to be jamming out at the old Valor Ballroom here.
What's it called?
Fear of the Dawn.
Yeah.
Is it a full album or like an EP?
No, it's a full LP.
Did you get it?
No. Because I hadn't heard it yet. And I mean, I like Jack White, but Jack White makes tons of stuff that I don't like too.
Did you like Lazaretto?
I actually liked Lazaretto more than I liked 16 Saltines. Or 16 Saltines was a song. I don't remember what Blunderbuss.
Yeah.
Blunderbuss was
the one that was before.
Record. Yeah. His first solo album.
Yeah. I definitely liked Raconteurs. I like them too. But I definitely liked what was the name of the album? I just literally just said Lazaretto better than Blunderbuss too. Yeah. Yeah.
Lazaretto, I saw he said something about it where he was like a Lazaretto is like an old term for some kind of prison cell or something, or I don't know.
It makes
place
sense.
He wouldn't want to be. But he talks about how he he fantasizes about being trapped in the monotony of a single room apartment and just doing the same thing over and over again. I don't know. He's a weird guy.
He's a really fucking weird guy.
It translates into some impressive stuff, but interesting. Interesting fellow.
You know that he's like fucking tall too, right?
Yeah, he is really tall.
He's like 6'4" or 6'5". He's
Yeah.
like a fucking tall, sheet white, ghost looking motherfucker.
Yeah, my dad saw him in the Atlanta airport one time.
That's
actually,
right.
and he was like really surprised by just the sheer height of the guy.
But he also said that he was super fucking cool.
Yeah, he said he was really nice. Yeah,
and his girlfriend was a total cunt.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. That's what it was. Yeah. Because my dad like tried to say something to him, and his girlfriend was like, "Come on, let's get out of here.
Come on, Jack. We gotta go. Come on, Jack. Jack.
A plane to catch.
Jack.
Jack's like, we have 3 hours till
Jack.
that plane leaves.
Yeah, exactly. Can I talk with this nice fan here, my young lady?
He does seem like a cool guy, though. Like, you ever watch that movie, It Might Get Loud?
The Jimmy Page and the Edge, right?
Yeah, you can just skip the Edge scenes, but watch the Jimmy Page and the Jack. I'm just kidding.
He's actually not kidding. One of my favorite stories is when we were all over here one night, and I'm trying to remember who the fourth person was, because it was you, me, Justin Handel, and there was like one or two other people here, and everybody.
Here at your house?
Yes, because everybody was outside on the back patio, and while you guys were all outside, I put on U2. I think I put on the Joshua Tree, and when you guys all came inside, I think it was you, Justin. One of you guys goes, "What the fuck is this? And why the fuck is this playing?" And I remember like vehemently defending like how much I enjoyed the Joshua Tree. And finally I was just like, fine. I'll turn it off. It's my house. That's fine. I'll turn it off.
And you did.
And I did. Yeah, you guys were fucking pissed. You were so angry.
Dude, that was a serious affront from
I'd
you.
like to think I'm a nicer house guest than that, but no.
I mean, it was a long night. Like it was probably 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
I can say this about the Edge, though, of all of the rock stars out there, especially the guitar players, in terms of the money he's made, like dollars per note played, he's got to be number one.
Probably.
And that kind of efficiency, I think, deserves some respect.
Yeah, I was trying to think of like some guitarists that made more money for one note. I mean, this is not, you couldn't really actually use this guy because obviously he played a shit ton of notes, but Jimi Hendrix has, the note that's in Machine Gun. They call it the note. You got to think like how many guitar players were inspired by that one fucking note, how many dollars were made as a result of that one note being played. That was, that's.
I will say this about the Edge. I like the textures that he creates.
Yeah, he's definitely
to the rest of what that band does, if that makes sense.
He's definitely a cool like crafter of sonic layering with his pedals.
Yeah,
he's kind of the pioneer. He's known for, using the dotted eighth delay sound, which like might not know what that is based on just that word, but if you heard it, it's a pretty, unique delay sound.
You're talking about like that shit that he does right at the beginning of like Sunday, Bloody Sunday and stuff like that.
Yeah,
right?
it's like the dun, 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 dun. It's kind of hard to put into vocalize, but I did my best.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about though. I know the sound you're talking about.
Yeah.
Part of what made It Might Get Loud a good documentary, though, is like you have like kind of like more traditional rock star approaches, like Jimmy Page being the oldest, and then the Edge like representing the 80s of like, playing with the new technology and guitar sound and like a little more ethereal. And then Jack White kind of brings it back full circle, like just more traditional rock star, just like playing hard and fast blues. And like, it's not, honestly, Jack White, not an entirely too technical guitar player, like a great guitar player, but like he just hammers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's exactly the truth as far as the simplicity of it, though. Like, I'm not talking about the sloppiness like that. Yeah, I do agree with that. But like, people always talk about how Jack White is like so old school and just rips blues solos and stuff. But that's like, I mean, like he basically doesn't play a single solo without his whammy pedal. He has like and his octaver and stuff. I mean, he somehow gets like thrown into that category of like old school players when really he's not that. Like almost every single solo that he plays is like effect ridden,
Yeah, I think that the music is old school, the effects are new school, the attitude is punk.
Yeah.
80s, 90s punk.
The attitude is definitely punk. Yeah. But the reason I brought that up was because we were talking about Jack White being like an interesting guy, and like the opening scene of It Might Get Loud. He's just like out on like a farm or something, and he just builds like a guitar with a pickup that he installs, and he's just like hammering nails in. And at the end, you're like, what the fuck is going on here? And at the end, he has a 1-string guitar, and he has a pickup installed, and he plugs it into an amp, and it works. And that's the opening scene of the movie. Remember that, Justin?
That's fucking.
Yeah. He turns like 2 nails, a wire, and a 2x4, and a pickup into a fucking like slide guitar.
Yeah, yeah. It's cool. It's a cool intro scene.
That is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Interesting notion.
And then I think my favorite scene is like when they just ask Jimmy Page to play Kashmir, not a complicated song by any means, but they just like stare at him with like, you know, like the Vinegar Strokes faces on both the Edge and Jack White. Just like barely able to contain themselves at watching like Jimmy Page play Kashmir on his famous, like, what is it, a 56 Les Paul right in front of him.
Oh, yeah. Did he fuck it up?
No. No. Are you kidding me?
Talk about a sloppy guitar player.
Like a hard song.
Looking at
Especially
some
for
new
the guy
music
who wrote
that came out this week. As you mentioned, there's the new Jack White. There's also the new Father John Misty, just came out yesterday.
Have you
checked that out?
No, I didn't. No, I haven't listened to anything.
I haven't listened either. I'm just kind of looking down the list of what came out.
The newest thing that I did listen to that we didn't talk about a couple of days ago was the new Chili Peppers album came out.
Did you check that out?
Yeah.
Is it good?
Yeah, I've listened to it a couple of times, and I really like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea, but every Red Hot Chili Peppers album to me is plagued with the same set of issues, with the lone exception of the 2 exceptions of Blood Sugar Sex Magic and Californication. And that's it. To me, every Red Hot Chili Peppers album has 3 to 5 like really, really fantastic songs, and then 8 to 12 Red Hot Chili Pepper songs.
Yeah.
Which makes for a great concert now.
Well, once they've released several of those.
No. Because when you go and see the Chili Peppers, you hear, you know, a selection of those 3 to 5 great songs off of the multitude of albums that they've put out now. So
that's what I meant. Like once they've released that many albums, then you have the 2 or 3 off of every one.
It's kind of like Foo Fighters, you know. Well, the Foo Fighters used to be R.I.P. Taylor.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, before he passed away, like that was the best part about the Red Hot Chili Peppers, or about Foo Fighters, you know, is because you could go and every song was a fucking banger. They were all great songs that you loved to hear.
Yeah.
So,
did anybody check out that new Papa Roach record?
Oh,
features a guest appearance from Fever 333 and Swicko. Fiva made it on there.
And
Swicko. Yeah.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Fucking ballers.
I'm having a hard time pretending like I didn't love Papa Roach when I was in middle school.
Cut my life into pieces. Yeah.
Laser 1033, man.
I saw them live at Laser Fest once.
Did you really? Wow.
Yeah.
I've never seen Papa Roach. I say that with a little bit of pride.
Well, hey, they have new music. It's not too late.
There were other bands on other stages that we wanted to see, but so they were kind of our last resort. Let's see if you guys picked up on that one.
Yeah, before you start, you know, like throwing, can you make sure I haven't drawn a beer to my lips?
Sorry, man. I'll be more careful next time. Okay, so reason we are here today is to talk about Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time.
These assholes.
And how terrible of a job they did constructing this list. And we are picking it up at number 215 today, covering 5 albums from there. So
it's only downhill from here.
Yes, indeed. You want to read this one off?
I think, yeah. Yes, I would love to read this one off. Okay, so coming in at number 215, from 1970, the Grateful Dead's album American Beauty. Rolling Stone says, the Dead never sounded better in the studio than in the down-home stoner country of American Beauty. Released just 5 months after the folky classic Working Man's Dead, American Beauty has some of their most beloved songs in Ripple, Broke Down Palace, and Truckin'. Jerry Garcia and Robert Hunter were on a hot streak, writing the ultimate outlaw credo and Friend of the Devil. Box of Rain has the Dead's most emotional harmony vocals, especially in the haunting final line, such a long, long time to be gone and a short time to be there. Well, let the circle jerk begin.
Yeah, let's let it begin. And I mean, like, I'm just going to get out of the way because I kind of was struggling with the star things. Like, don't be biased. Like, you love this album, like, actually take the time to evaluate every song and give it whatever stars it actually deserves. But I was like, you know what? That's stupid. Like, there's a reason that I like this band a lot. So I gave, I'll tell you right now, I gave every single song 5 stars except for one, which I gave 0 stars.
Ooh,
Wait, can I guess?
fuck! Wow.
I'm sure you can guess, but
Operator.
yep, you got it.
Really?
Never been a big fan of Operator. I don't hate it. I didn't give it negative stars. It just
It deserves 0 stars, dude.
yeah. I didn't want to give it any stars. Not my favorite tune.
You fucking hated Pigpen, didn't you?
No.
You're a liar.
I'm not lying. I liked
it.
Pigpen. It's just the song. I like his voice. It's not his voice is not the problem. It's just doesn't do anything for me, the song.
I mean, I only put 2 stars next to it. I'm not gonna like lie and say that I thought it was fucking fantastic or anything, but I love the bluesy Pigpen shit.
Yeah.
It was always one of my that's probably why I still gravitate towards whatever they call it. Because you know how Fish has like 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and the Dead has kind of the same thing. Like,
Yeah,
I'm pretty
for
sure
sure.
they call that like Primal Dead, like everything before Europe 72, basically, like the Pigpen era, if you will.
I didn't even know they had names for the eras. That's kind of cool, though.
They do.
Pigpen was a part of Europe 72, yes?
Yes, but he wasn't playing like whole shows.
Yeah, because he was probably going through some rough physical issues at that point.
He was super fucked up, super drunk most of the time.
Yeah.
Not good.
But yeah, I do like Pigpen. I just don't care much for that song. So that song, I didn't give any stars. I literally gave every other song 5 stars.
I only gave 3 to Candyman.
You motherfucker.
What?
I'm just kidding.
I only gave 3 to Candyman. All right, so tell me why Brokedown Palace is like the greatest song ever.
Ooh, Justin, you take this one.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
No, like seriously, tell me. Because
Okay.
it's not that it's a bad song, but it's just like I didn't put 5 stars next to it, and now I feel like an asshole for not doing that.
So in my opinion, like we'll stick with Broke Down Palace, but like Ripple and Broke Down Palace are 2 of my favorite songs ever written of all time. And I think they played both of them at the last show that JB and I were at in Wrigley. And like that's like church to me, man. That's the most religious experience I get is like seeing those songs live. And Broke Down Palace is, I think it's the best metaphor song of all time, maybe after Videotaped by Radiohead. But like they're definitely in the same, they should be mentioned in the same breath in terms of greatest songs of metaphor. But like Broke Down Palace, right? It's a palace, something you've built up to be wonderful and gorgeous, but sometimes it breaks down and things change and you have to move on with your life. And like I'm oversimplifying it, but like that is a metaphor that everybody can relate to, and they deliver it like beautifully and simply.
I
think
understand what you're saying. Yeah.
songwriting at its best, I think, delivers like an extremely deep, meaningful message with a very easy to grasp metaphor. And this is the best example of that I can think of.
Yeah. And to me, it just seems like a love song to humanity in general. I mean, just to everybody, like the final chorus, the fare thee well, fare thee well, I love you more than words can tell, is probably, I mean, one of my favorite moments in any like ballad for sure. In rock, for sure. So
okay, so is it because I still don't read lyrics.
The lyrics are fantastic on this one.
Yeah.
And I'm not usually a lyric guy either, but maybe part of it's the fact that I've just listened to the song so many times and I've played it at, performed it with various groups and solo and stuff. So it just means a lot to me for that reason. But beautiful lyrics, those are really going to help you kind of connect with it more, I think, if you kind of get really familiar with the lyrics, because they're fantastic. And because I mean the melodies it's fairly simple, but it's just classic American folk rock music. I mean,
I'm doing myself a massive disservice, and I feel like I need to borrow Justin Jant's that fucking tome that he has on
the Grateful Dead lyrics.
Yeah, on the Grateful Dead lyrics. I feel like I should just read that, because I don't sit down with like lyric sheets and read them, and I feel like I'm really fucking Robert Hunter over in the
Yeah.
grave really bad.
Yeah.
Because the lyrics that do stand out to me in Dead songs, they're really beautiful. It's poetry is really what it is.
It is. Yeah.
But this is just it's not something that I typically gravitate to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ever.
And me neither, but I do here. So maybe you would too.
Yeah.
You know,
I just
maybe, yeah,
more time, more exposure.
for sure. So what were some of your favorites?
Yeah, all of them. Box of
yeah.
Rain, Friend of the Devil, Sugar Magnolia. Like, I love Sugar Magnolia so much. But Justin, I'm with you. Like, Ripple is absolutely one of my favorite Dead songs. And yeah, Truckin', fucking Truckin's great.
Truckin', Addicts of My Life is kind of there with Broke Down. Although I maybe like what they kind of went for a similar thing, and I think maybe they pulled it off a little bit better and Broke Down. But I love Addicts of My Life as well. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I was starring everything, I would probably do Addicts 4, Broke Down 5. Like, I think Broke Down's better.
Yeah.
And it could just be I have a preference for, like, you know, in Broke Down, it's, you know, there's a river, there's a weeping willow on the bank's green edge. You know, like, I like the natural, like, visuals that come through in the lyrics, because I kind of relate to that stuff, and I like that stuff. I seek it out in my own life, you know, finding nature. So definitely a bigger fan of Broke Down Palace than Addicts of My Life.
Yep.
Because those two songs basically felt the same to me.
I
gave them both 3 stars.
Similar.
Like,
yeah.
And I wasn't shitting on them at all. Like, my least starred songs were Operator, not 0, but 2, and then Till the Morning 2.
See, Till the Morning Comes is like a song when I was going down looking at the album, I expected, okay, that'll be a third song for me. And I was like, fuck that song. I mean, I don't usually consider of what my Grateful Dead just because there's any, but I love that. I really do. I ended up stars. Definitely tune, you know, but it has that kind of psychedelic rock flair to it. The chorus, like the chromaticness on the verse, make yourself eat, kind of like descending, and like the poppy accessible.
That song was very Nash and Young to me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like Crosby, Stills, Nash and
which kind of we were talking about last, you know,
Yeah.
with them all kind of hanging out,
like vibing on the same. For you, and especially for you, Justin, Working Man's Dead a long time ago.
400s.
I believe it was low 400, like 415,
That sounds right.
420, 410, something around there.
This should be higher than Working Man's Dead, in my opinion. Although I love Working Man's Dead, I think Working Man's Dead should be much higher on the list than it is, and this should be higher on the list than it is. To me, this is a top 100. I'll say it, top 100 on the list. And I think Working Man's Dead should be around 250.
Now, I think if you take like the top 5 songs on this album and lyrics for lyrics, and then, you know, I know maybe this isn't the most lyrics intensive podcast, but like lyrics for lyrics, you take the top 5 songs on this album up against like anything else on the list, absolutely deserves to be top 100. Like the power of the songwriting to me makes this a better album. And that's also kind of the same reason I would say that it should be better or higher rated than Working Man's Dead. Like, I kind of just came to that conclusion now, but like Working Man's Dead, I like some of those songs more than some of these songs. Like Cumberland Blues is one of my favorite all-time songs.
Oh yeah.
And like, I don't think there's a like kind of a rocker or like kind of like Cumberland Blues is the best because it's like rock, it's like bluegrass, it's got a lot going on.
Yeah, it does.
And like I like Cumberland Blues more than Truckin' personally. So, but in terms of an album, what's a stronger album? Lyrics wise, I would have to say it's this one.
Yeah. See, because I always compare Truckin' with Casey Jones.
Yeah.
Because those two songs feel so like they're not the same songs, but it's funny because even the placement on the record is the same, and they kind of have like that same.
Casey Jones is the last one on Working Man's Dead.
Yeah. I
kind of overlook Truckin' a lot just because it's such a it's kind of like the radio hit.
Yeah, it's like the radio.
And you hear
play.
it. You know, you hear it. You've probably heard it a million times. Like this, you can hear that in a grocery store, literally. You know, but I mean, there's something to be said for being in like a stadium with like 30,000 people all screaming at the top of their lungs. What a long, strange trip it's been.
Yes.
There are very few moments that can like surpass a moment like that.
I also have a special place in my heart for trucking because on Europe 72, if you turn the volume up super, super fucking loud before they play the trucking on that, you can hear Phil tell the audience, yeah, we had a #1 hit with this song act in Turlock, California.
Uh-huh.
And then they break into trucking and that's where I graduated from high school. That's where I spent like my teenage years and everything. And so the very first time that I heard that, I was listening to it on headphones. It was cranked up real fucking loud. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? Did he just say Turlock? Like, I had to rewind it and crank that shit up real loud. And I may have texted you that morning.
Probably did. My aunt and uncle used to live in Turlock. I used to go to Turlock quite a bit too. So.
Yeah, so I was just like, what the fuck? So there's always kind of that special place in my heart. But
that's fun.
I'm like, I don't know how American Beauty and Working Man's Dead didn't wind up as a double album.
Yeah, because they were released like what, 6-7 months back to back? 5 months. Yeah. I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah, so it's not like they like cut Working Man's Dead and then we're like, dude, let's hit the road. We got to fucking hit the road with all these. You know, they were clearly like, well, that was cool. We got some more music though, so fuck it, let's go make another one.
Well, I don't really know the details, but maybe it's a situation where they had already been like touring with all these tunes and they hadn't just cut them. You know, could not be.
Also, I don't know. I feel like back then people did a better job of writing to the format, meaning like you write an album that can be accommodated on a single LP because it's like an easier unit to sell, you know? Yeah. And now it doesn't matter. Like that's a lost art. Like that's not something that people worry about anymore because it's all digital. But
you know though, Justin, The Who during this exact same time period was released in tons and tons of double LPs though.
But I think like it's just a different like the Dead was never like they're not a studio band. Like and The Who is like, I've never seen The Who. I'd love to see The Who, and that they were definitely a successful touring act. But I think that they had way more radio play, way more people that maybe didn't care about live music that wanted to buy those albums.
Yeah, and I'm with you, but that takes me to my next point, which is, Working Man's Dead should probably be here. American Beauty should probably be definitely top 100, like 75 to 100, 50 to 100. Like I'm good with any of those. But at the same time, I feel like Rolling Stone really fucked up by not having Europe 72 on here. Because to me, Europe 72 should be the highest ranking Grateful Dead record on this list. It should not only be on the list, it should be super fucking high on the list.
There should for sure be a live record on here, whether it's Europe 72 or even Live Dead. Yeah.
But for the record, if it was Live Dead, I would want to see that probably 400 or higher.
I mean, Live Dead is mostly this album. And so I think that there's better versions of these songs on Live Dead. Like Broke Down Palace is a good example. Like,
Live Dead was released in like 67 or 68. That was the first the first Grateful Dead live album that was released. That has like
because Live Dead's the one with like
Anthem of the Sun.
And it has Saint Stephen and stuff on it.
It's got Saint Stephen. It's got a fucking monster
real
Dark
early
Star
version of Saint Stephen. Yeah, and Dark Star, which is like one of their earlier psychedelic tunes.
Yeah, it's like a 23 or a 25-minute fucking Dark Star.
I meant Dead Set.
Dead Set. Yep.
It says live in parentheses. And that's what,
I know exactly what you're talking about. I've listened to that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so what do you think about this one though? Like, do you like the placement? Do you think it should be higher?
No, it should be higher.
Do you think top 100?
No. So in my book, Working Man's Dead would be here. And then I would want to see this album probably between 75 and 100.
And then an additional live album with Europe 72.
I mean, yeah, I want to see Europe 72 on the list.
I think that would be.
But if you put Europe 72 on the list, I probably wouldn't put it higher than American Beauty.
Yeah. Just because that's what that's the format we're debating is albums.
Yeah.
Which Europe 72 is not really an album. So although, I mean,
it is though, because
it kind of reminds me of that Kiss album, with the amount of post edits that they did to it. Did you know they did a lot of that with Europe 72? They did a lot of like adding vocals afterwards in the studio and stuff. Gross. Yeah, making alterations.
Don't stop. Just stop. Let's stop talking about Europe
cutting
72.
Phil's voice out.
Stop it, goddamn it. You're destroying the greatness that I hold Europe
Yeah.
72 in my
They actually
head.
never went on tour in Europe. That was just totally fabricated. Yeah. Completely.
They had an audio engineer go collect the sounds of people in Europe cheering.
Yeah.
Brought it
Wait,
back.
they didn't do that with all of the releases after the fact, though, did they?
I think it was just on whatever the original like compilation was that was released
Okay.
as Europe 72.
Okay.
I think there's there's all the volumes,
And that's what I'm talking about. Like that Paris box set,
I don't know.
They didn't I hope they didn't add anything to that after the fact.
We'd have to look into that. Yeah. I
don't
think
wanna
it
look
was
into
Jerry
that,
too. I
though.
remember reading that it was like Jerry Big Time was like unhappy with the way some of the vocals sounded and stuff, and he was like, "We are not putting this shit out."
Really?
That
almost surprised me more than anything that it would be Jerry.
I watched some. Yeah, it surprised me too. I watched some documentary like footage of back when like they were working out. I think it was actually lyrics to Candyman, and like Jerry was kind of a hard ass. He wasn't being a dick, but he was being like he was very like, nope, that wasn't it. Let's try it again. Like they were rehearsing vocals. He was like, nope, don't do that. Sing this. He was very particular, which is kind of not the picture you have when you think Jerry Garcia.
No, I almost went back this week and rewatched portions of Long Strange Trip. Have you watched that yet?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I almost went back and like rewatched like the first couple of episodes of that.
That's the 6-part one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on Amazon Prime. If you haven't seen it, and if you're at all interested in the dead, like it's a fucking fantastic watch. Like a really fantastic watch.
Okay.
What about you? What do you want to do What do you want to do with this?
So I want to put this in top 100. I mean, if you told me 50, I would say yes. So, and then I think Working Man's Dead should be somewhere around where this is. I would be comfortable with that, or even higher. I mean, I think those are two fantastic American albums that belong pretty high.
Yeah. Yep. Any other Grateful Dead for you?
Any other studio albums that I think should be on the list?
Studio or otherwise? Like, because Justin made mention of Dead Set. We talked Live Undead. We talked Europe 72. There's Skull and Bones too.
Yeah, there's that one. There's the one that that was done in New York. What's that one called? Wake Up to Find Out in Nassau. That's like
from the 80s though, right?
I think it's even 90s. I think there's the one I'm talking about is like 94 or something, and it's
Is
really
it that late.
Yeah, and I mean that's like a really good snapshot of late era Live Dead. Like it was so hit or miss in that time, and that was a real hit. So, but I'm not sure that's what I would pick. I'd probably go Europe 72, honestly.
Where would you put that relative to these two? And then Justin will I'll have you weigh in.
I would probably put it probably below both of them, just because which one would I rather listen to? Probably the live one, but like if we're talking about albums,
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. How about you, Justin? What do you want to do with this one, Working Man's Dead, and then anything else?
I kind of agree with what's been said. Like Working Man's Dead should be higher. This one should be way higher, like top 100, maybe top 50. I think you could put it up against a lot of the singer-songwriter stuff that mainly lives on the lyrics. Like a lot of Bob Dylan stuff, some Simon and Garfunkel stuff, and I think that some of these lyrics are like more powerful than that.
Yeah.
In terms of other albums, like I will say they do not have another studio album that belongs on the list. And like they have it's like all of my favorite songs by them are kind of spread out. Like Break Down Street has some good songs, but like it's not a good album. No. They're not like a great album, at least. Aoxomoxoa, if I'm saying that right, I don't know.
Oxomoxa.
Whatever.
So you're pretty close.
Some good songs, but not a great album. Like
Blues for Allah. What about Blues for Allah?
Blues for Allah.
Read
the track listing.
Once you get past the 3 best songs on that record, though, it gets fucking weak.
I don't know, man. Late, like you have first of all, it starts off with Help on the Way, Slipknot, Franklin's Tower. It's got Music Never Stopped, great song. It's got Crazy Fingers, great song.
Is Crazy Fingers
granted, I don't know the last 2 very well. What'd you say, Justin?
I mean, is Crazy Fingers a great song?
I would say so. Yeah, if you don't know
that song, but like I don't know that I would stump for that song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at too, because once you get past Slip, Hope Is on the Way, Franklin's for me, like Blues for Allah kind of, it wanes for me a little bit.
You don't think Terrapin Station either, Justin?
No, Terrapin Station is the only good like suite of songs on that whole album. The other stuff was pretty weak. Actually, if I had to pick one studio album, it'd be Wake of the Flood. Yeah, yes, but Wake of the Flood is the only other studio album I would think could make it. If I had to pick a live album, like I would say Cornell 70.
Oh yeah, that's an obvious one. That's what I was trying to think of earlier that I couldn't think of. Yeah,
Cornell
77. Yeah, that would probably be my vote over Europe 72. Actually, you familiar?
Yeah, I'm super familiar.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like it'll ruin you. You'll hear a version of a song on that album, and then you'll never hear another one that you like again in your entire life.
See, I feel that way about Tennessee Jed from Europe 72. Like I'll never listen to another. I will never hear a better version of Tennessee Jed than the one that's on Europe 72.
Especially if you like hearing Pigpen.
Yeah. And I love Pigpen. So all of the Pigpen tracks on Europe 72, that's peak. Like that's the best Pigpen that you're gonna get.
Yeah,
is on that.
Definitely.
Shit, you know, so it's like that's where it gets tricky for me.
Now that you say Wake of the Flood,
that stuff.
Yeah. The
early Dead anyway.
Now that you say Wake of the Flood, Justin, looking at that, yeah, I think I totally agree. Actually, that'd be the only other contender. Well, the top next contender. I wouldn't say. I think that Blues for Allah could be a contender, but
the one thing I would say about even like the studio albums for the Dead, I think the fact that they are one of the most prolific like touring acts ever, if not the single most prolific touring act of all time, like that's enough of an endorsement of the material in my mind to justify being in the top 100.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Like that. Yeah. That means that even obviously there's a value added component of the improvisation and the soloing and like you never know what they're going to play, and it's all very exciting live music stuff. But like the body of work is good enough to draw, tens of thousands of people to everything that they ever do every time
for decades.
Yeah.
For fucking decades.
And there's just like something that they're just their own brand. I mean, musically, like there's no way that when those guys all die, that music's not going to continue on in a large format, like large venues. Yeah. Like some group of people is going to keep that music going in a way that's like it's not going to be just like seen in small bars across the country. Like it's going to be a stadium act still somehow. The music. Yeah, exactly.
J-Rad,
think about it, if like the members of the Dead weren't still touring, J-Rad would be way bigger,
Yeah.
People got to get their Dead fix, yeah.
Yeah. Well, have we all reached climax in this circuit jerk?
It's sad though, because we're not going to get to do this again.
Yep.
I don't think we have any more just like massive circle jerk albums ahead of us. I mean, I'm sure that we do. Like,
that'll be some of the pure circle jerk, right?
Which one?
The entire top 10, right? It's probably just massive circle jerk.
Everything except the Beach Boys. The Beach Boys Pet Sounds can fucking lick my pet ass.
Is it not in there? Don't tell us, Justin.
No, everyone knows Pet Sounds is like it's like a consensus top.
Yeah, it's like 2 or 3.
I feel like I'm sure Sgt. Pepper's and Abbey Road will both be circle jerks.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So we'll get another chance.
Tapestry by Carole King will be a massive circle jerk too.
That's for sure.
Because I know how much you guys love Tapestry.
Dark Side of the Moon.
All right, never mind.
Yeah. Everybody
go.
That one's on here, right? Okay. Moving on.
Yep.
I will read 214. We have Tom Petty, Wildflowers. Petty struggled for 2 years to make the Rick Rubin produced follow-up to 1989's hit Full Moon Fever. He left tons of songs in the can, and the final product stretched to 70 minutes, but didn't have any filler. Petty hit a new songwriting peak, going from intimate, soul-bearing songs like the title track and Crawling Back to You to rockers like You Wreck Me and House in the Woods. I think is maybe my favorite LP that I've ever done.
Is it your favorite LP that he's ever done?
Yes, for sure.
Really?
Yeah, and we were talking
Wow.
the other day when we did, because we had a Tom Petty record kind of recently, right?
Yes.
And you had a pretty valid complaint about that record, which was that it had like a few good songs and then a lot of filler. So
Yep.
if you tell me that this album is filler, I'm going to say you were high on crack cocaine. And that as soon as we get off this podcast, I will be taking you to admit you to a rehab facility where they are equipped to deal with that sort of thing. Yes. So you're not, what do you think?
I mean, it's a lot better than
What was it? The last one we had?
Full Moon Fever was the last.
That was the
we
last
had.
one? Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, I like the non-essential cuts on this better than the non-essential cuts on Full Moon Fever. But the thing that I don't know that I want to do this or not, but they've re-released basically everything that he cut for this record, because apparently they had 26 or 27 different songs that they recorded for the record
For this session.
Yeah, and they wanted to release them all, but Rick Rubin was like, "No, dickhead, you're not going to do that. Like, we're going to cherry pick the best ones out of this." And so I kind of want to go and listen to everything to see if I would have made the same record that Rick Rubin made.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, because I mean, I don't know. Like A Higher Place, for example. It's fine. It's cool. It's a Tom Petty song.
It is. What I wrote on that was like cheesy dad rock, but you still love it. Like it's definitely not my top favorite song.
Yeah, I'm not going to reward that though. You know what I mean? Because I feel like I feel like I know what I'm going to get as like a baseline with Tom Petty, and that's the baseline.
Yeah, which is pretty good baseline, I would say.
It's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of the cheesier tunes on the record. And there's a lot of songs that sound a lot like that. Although I wonder how many of those came out before this one.
Yeah. This record has by far and away my favorite Tom Petty song, which is probably "You Don't Know How It Feels."
Love it. Yeah, that's
also
a 5-star
love "It's
tune
Good to
for
Be
me.
King."
Love "It's Good to Be King." I love, honestly, the first. It's a pretty heavy hitting like first side for me. Like "Wildflowers" is a 5-star. "You Don't Know How It Feels" is a 5-star. "Time to Move On" for me is a 5-star. I love that song. "You Wreck Me" is a 5-star. It's so simple, but that's what I love about it. "Could Be King," big fan of it. Gave it 4. From there on out, it goes a little bit lower, but I still have quite a few 3-star tunes and stuff. Listen, but yeah, I'm a big fan.
Dude, I'm the same.
Yeah.
I'm the same. Now, I didn't give 5 stars to "Wildflowers" and "Time to Move On." I put 3 stars next to each one of them.
Yeah, still high praise.
Because they're really good songs, but those 2 songs are also really, really similar to me. Like super similar to me.
Yeah, I can see that. I just love the simplicity of it, though. Like, to me, Tom Petty is the absolute king of simplicity. And I've said it before, but he's like the king of just putting things together in the right order. He's a master arranger. Nothing's too convoluted or fancy. He doesn't ever feel the need to put something in the song that it doesn't need. Everything he does is so song serving. And the simplicity here is just amazing. I was thinking about like someone who I could compare him to, and like in terms of a more modern day version who really takes like simplicity and just delivers it in such a great package is like Jim James to me. Like with a lot of the My Morning Jacket songs and even his solo stuff, like it's very simple. Like there's not a whole lot to it. Like the chord progressions are very common, like usually using pretty, mostly chords in the same key, and everything's, maybe there's like 4 or 5 chords at the most in most of the songs, but just the way that he delivers it, you love it, and that's exactly how I feel about Tom Petty.
Justin, what's your take on this?
The best and the worst thing I can say about this album is that when I play it, it is rather ineffective at delivering any kind of sentiment whatsoever. Like it's a great album to have on, but nothing about it makes me like stop what I'm doing and be like, oh hell yeah, this song's on. You know what I mean? Like I love the first 2 tracks. I think a lot of people do, but like after that, like there's nothing that makes me like stop what I'm like. That's kind of my measure when I'm listening to an album, is like if I literally, like if I'm doing the dishes or if I'm cooking or if I'm working and I literally just stop what I'm doing, I'm like, what the fuck am I hearing right now? Because I need to listen much more closely. That just doesn't happen on this album to me.
I think that's fair. I think it's fair to say that doesn't really happen with Tom Petty.
Yeah, and like it's a good and a bad thing. It's like it's good and that it's like it's great background music, but that's also for an album that's on the 500 greatest of all time. It's kind of the bad thing about it too.
So you want to knock it down?
I would knock it down, and like this whole like it's like a Laurel Canyon revitalization of like the Byrds, basically. Like in terms of like where it fits into music history, it's like they're clawing back to like an era in LA where it was like the Byrds and the Eagles and like that kind of feel. And I like that kind of feel, but the problem is it delivers a feel with no like punch. Like I get the feel, like kind of like
from a place of authenticity.
Yeah, like it's like it's like classic rock, but it's softer. It's like almost singer-songwritery, but like it's not super meaningful. And it delivers a vibe, but it's like a secondhand take on that vibe. And like I will listen to it and it's great background music, but like I just don't see how it's special enough to be here.
I'm not going to say I feel the same way as you because I don't at all, but I do understand why you're saying that. Like it's not like just such like a crazy left field take.
Yeah. Because I kind of like I'm like halfway between you two because I really sympathize with everything that you're saying, Justin, but I also feel like Tom Petty at this point in time, and I think Wildflowers was like the most creative outlet he could be for what he became. And I guess what I'm trying to say there is like he's his own animal. You're never going to put Tom Petty on and somebody's going to be like, yo, is this the new Bob Dylan? You know what I mean? Like everybody's going to be like, oh yeah, Tom Petty.
Yeah.
You know, so he created his own, and I think it's largely his voice. You know, his voice is super fucking unique. It really, it's so unmistakable. But then the songs,
I think he's a good songwriter. I mean,
he is. But it's funny because you make note, like you made, like in your comments, you said multiple times, right? Like you love the simplicity of it. And the irony there is like, there's fucking nothing simple about making these albums because there's so much production that goes into these fucking things. And that's true of every Heartbreakers album. That's true of this. That's true of every Tom Petty album because who's his guitar player? And he also co-wrote like 2 or 3 of the songs on here.
Shit.
Mike Campbell.
Yes.
Mike Campbell, yeah.
Mike Campbell is a fucking maniac when it comes to layering and like and dropping multiple layers on top of multiple.
And I don't
layers.
necessarily mean in the production of the tracks. I just mean at their like every single one of these songs, no matter how many layers were put onto it, you could sing it and play it with an acoustic guitar by yourself. You know, like any of them.
Yeah. But it doesn't sound, I don't think it sounds that way to most casual listeners because of the production that's involved in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They produce it so much that they're camouflaging the simplicity of the music. Which
how much like studio production
be camouflaged
is I feel like most of it's pretty like analog, right? You mean just lots of like guitar layers and stuff, you know, definitely like overdriven tube amps and you know, maybe some overdrive pedaling and stuff like that, but there's not like a whole lot of delays or in studio effects applied to things going on.
Well, and to be clear, especially with this record, like I think that this record is probably the most minimalist of all of the records that he created at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, so this record in particular, I think Rick Rubin was going for that like stripped down version of Petty, right? Like that's what he was trying to capture. But when you go back to Full Moon Fever and when you go back to all of that Heartbreaker stuff, you know, that's where you're getting all of those guitar track on top of guitar track on top of guitar track. Kind of like the Billy Corgan Smashing Pumpkins thing, you know, where it's like you just keep throwing that shit on there.
Keep throwing the layers on.
And before you know it, you have a product that sounds amazing. And I'm not like, I really like Tom Petty and I like all the stuff that he's done. But, you know, I think that there's some lipstick on a pig to sell records, you know, like these guys are all still trying to sell records at the end of the day.
That's true. Yeah.
I think when you look at the core personnel, that like I agree with JB that the songs themselves are simple enough that you could sit down and play every song with an acoustic guitar and deliver the same like feel. But like they have 5 guys, and like Mike Campbell is credited on the bass guitar on like more than half the songs, and on some of the same songs that he's already, you know, also credited with electric guitar. So like it's definitely like a very produced thing where you've got like you couldn't just take the core personnel and play it live. Like it's not like what the Grateful Dead did, for instance. But I do agree that the songs are at least simple enough that you can play them like around a campfire. Like the quote that I always think of that makes me laugh is I think it was Liam Gallagher or maybe Noel Gallagher, one of the Gallagher brothers. It was like asked about Muse and like their songwriting, and I love Muse. And what he said is just like, I doubt anybody's playing Knights of Sidonia on a fucking lute. It's just like to say they're like their songs are fun, but like they're not like universal. Like people can't just like grasp them and like love them in the way that they can love like an Oasis song. I'm sure it was his point.
Right. Yeah. I would say so.
Should this be the highest Tom Petty record?
I think what we should do is knock the other one significantly down and put this one higher. This needs to be the big Tom Petty. We've had 2.
We've had 2, right? We had the original Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and then Full Moon Fever.
We don't need those ones on here. We just need this one, but it needs to be higher than it is. That should be the representation of Tom Petty is Wildflowers, because it's the best representation.
I disagree.
Maybe that's a crazy thing to say.
I disagree. That self-titled Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers with American Girl is a fucking jam, dude.
I like this better personally. Are you?
I mean,
you
I
like
do
that
too.
one better?
No. This, in my opinion, this should be the highest Tom Petty as well. Now, you know, do I really want to keep Full Moon Fever on there? Was that Running Down a Dream? That's Full Moon Fever, right?
Yeah, Running Down a Dream was probably the biggest one on there, right?
Yeah, but there was more. There was. It's
one
like every other Tom Petty record. There's like 2 or 3 really great
except
songs.
for this one.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's like 6 really great songs on this one.
Oh, jeez.
Where do you want to put this though? So where would you place this? Because you're gonna knock it down.
Maybe like 150, 175.
Oh wait, so you're gonna move it up? You're gonna move it closer to number 1?
Yeah, I want this one higher and the other one's off, or the other one's lower.
Jesus,
you know, Free Fallin' was on.
Oh fuck,
was on Full Moon Fever.
And that's really
back down.
It's really hard to leave that fucking record.
Now
off
that I
this
read
list.
that, yeah, but still, I think they could come down, and then this could come up. This is the one that I really want to see. You know, personally representing.
Yeah, like the highest representation of Tom Petty. And you feel like Tom Petty should easily be represented somewhere between 100 and 200.
Probably, yeah.
Well, that's definitely what you're saying. Because
yes,
right now
I was thinking through it. Yes.
I probably want to see this a little bit closer to 250. And there's nothing wrong with that, Tom Petty.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't.
You had a really hard time getting a record deal because your fucking voice is so kooky. Congratulations, it worked out. Yeah, you fucking nailed it. You landed it, and now you have the 235th greatest album of all time.
That's right. What do you think, Justin?
I thought JB, your proposition was interesting. Of like, I would move this one up if you took the other 2 off. Like if the net Tom Petty impact on music was represented by 1 album and not 3, then I would move it up, but you have to take the other 2 off.
Or just move them down or off.
Off. Wheeling and dealing here. Like that I would take that deal.
I know.
I'm not. I think Tom Petty belongs on the list. I don't think that 3 Tom Petty albums belong on the list, because I think that it's a little bit of an LA circle jerk to have him on here 3 times. That's what I think.
I'll be super curious to see what happens with
Spoken
Tom
like
Petty.
A true New Yorker.
Yeah, I'll be super curious to see what happens with Tom Petty when the next list comes out.
Yeah.
When the next list comes out, I'd be curious to see what happens. If they keep all 3 of these on there, if they move them around. I mean, I guess he was already gone when they made this list, so his death's not really going to get him like...
Yeah, because he probably died, 18?
Yeah, something like that.
He probably had to die to get 3 albums on this list.
I saw Mike Campbell play with Fleetwood Mac which was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
He's touring with them now.
Fuck, that's nice. Oh yeah, because Lindsay fucking bailed on him, right?
Yeah, they had some kind of falling out.
A little bit of a falling out.
Indeed.
Well,
cool. Well, you guys want to move on?
Let's move on.
Do you have this one on vinyl? We haven't discussed that.
Oh shoot. I have American Beauty on vinyl.
I do too.
But I do not have Wildflowers on vinyl. Are you now hunting for Wildflowers on vinyl?
It's always been on the list of one I would buy if I saw it. I don't feel like I've seen a whole lot of Tom Petty, or at least not a lot of the big ones. I don't feel like I've seen Full Moon Fever or Wildflowers.
I saw Wildflowers today.
Today down at Vinyl Cup?
At Marv's they had it.
New or used?
New.
Yeah, I would definitely snag it if I saw it.
Do you know, is like the Vinyl Cafe in Ames still around? Have you ever been there?
I don't know.
That place used to be great.
Don't worry about it. Did they sell vinyl?
They did. The Vinyl Cafe really captured what they were doing, selling vinyl and being a cafe.
I like it when businesses pick names that actually describe what they do. So,
yeah, not like those massage parlors that are really called rub and tugs.
All right, number 213, released in 2012, Fiona Apple's record. Rolling Stone calls it the Idler Wheel. I can't really read everything. The Idler Wheel is wiser than the driver of the screw, and whipping cords will serve you. Whatever. It's from a poem
that she wrote.
Yes, that she wrote. Okay, so Rolling Stone says the Idler Wheel continued Fiona Apple's run as one of modern pop's most thrilling eccentrics. There's a single-minded intensity to songs like Every Single Night and Hot Knife, where she puts an almost shocking amount of feeling into each syllable. Apple can sound like a cabaret singer in one song and a blues woman in the next, her voice full of sandpaper edges and bestial roars. Quote, I may need a chaperone, end quote, she wonders on Daredevil. But this album proves she's at her very best when she's left to her own devices. Justin, do you want to start? Because you were completely unknown to Fiona Apple, if I am to be led correctly.
Are you there, Justin?
Do we lose J Money?
I don't know. He's still there, but his camera is
he may have stepped away.
Gone dark. I'm gonna shoot him. He might have stepped away real quick. I'm gonna shoot him a message just to make sure we still good to record tonight, Justin.
Well, JB and I were
there.
Already
He's back.
So, Justin, I was gonna ask you specifically because you were not familiar with Fiona Apple, and this was your first exposure to her, correct?
Yeah. Sorry, I had assumed that I could squeeze a pee break into the amount of time it took you to read the name of this album. I guess I was wrong.
We didn't read the whole thing.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well.
We didn't have
yes, this is the first time I've listened to Fiona Apple, which I think I feel like you guys should all be jealous of me because I'm getting to enjoy this experience, and you couldn't possibly have the same enjoyment that I had having just like kind of like discovered it today. So
yeah, no, definitely not.
Were you already familiar with this one, JB?
Not intimately at all. You?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So what'd you think, Justin?
Wait, hold on. 2 thumbs up.
Oh, geez, it makes another appearance. Remember that little hand?
God, I had that. Yeah, I loved it. It sounded like, at times it sounded like Radiohead. At times it sounded like Alanis Morissette. But like, the more that I tried to find things it sounded like, I realized like it's just its own thing. And
yeah. I'm
going to be listening to a lot more Fiona Apple in my day-to-day, that's for sure.
She has such a unique way of playing the piano. Like, it's unmistakable when I hear her piano parts. Now, especially after having listened to, I was like obsessed with Fetch the Bolt Cutters for a while, and after having listened to Extraordinary Machines and this one through, you kind of see the threads of the way she plays the piano, and it's really cool.
It is cool. What do you think whenever I say the words Fiona Apple and Billie Eilish in the same breath?
I mean, there's definitely parallels.
right?
Yeah, especially in like the vocal delivery. You know?
Yeah, Fiona Apple was like the OG talk singer, right?
Yeah, but I love her version of it, and I like Billie Eilish too. You know, but I mean, I love her version of the talk singing. I especially love that thing that she does where she sings such a long line that she's running out of breath by the end, and she's like gasping for air at the end of it. Yeah. But she's like, can barely get the words out, and like you can tell that her face is like contorting trying to finish the sentence, and I love it. Really.
What do you think about her shaky, like her intentional type of delivery?
I love it.
You know what I'm talking about.
I do not. I know exactly what we're talking about, and I personally like it because I love her voice. You know, but that I will say that like same kind of thing, like those kind of weird affectations that people do sometimes, I might not like from another singer. You know, so I'm not going to say I universally dislike that delivery method, but I love hers. You know, her version of that. I just love her voice. Like I love everything about it.
I do too. There are moments throughout this record though where I want to not like it.
Really?
Yes.
But you can't bring yourself to not like it.
I can't because it's too authentic.
Yeah. That's a great word for it. Yeah. She is that.
She's too authentic to what she does, and what she does it really, really, really well. But I could not fucking shake. Like as soon as I got that in my head, that Billie Eilish comparison, I couldn't let go of it.
Yeah.
Because it made me in a lot of ways it made me have a lot more respect for Billie Eilish, because I've always looked for reasons to kind of shit on her. Well, and I don't know why. It's a terrible thing to say, but I mean, I'll cop to it because I do.
But Billie Eilish is just singing, right? Like Fiona Apple is playing multiple instruments here. She's writing all of these songs, whereas Billie Eilish is not. Her brother is. She might be writing the lyrics, you know, but Phineas is doing most of the actual songwriting there in terms of like the chord progressions and I think she might come up with some, you know, some of the vocal melodies. Yeah. And I'm not trying to shit on Billie Eilish, but if we're just going to compare Fiona Apple and her, I think that like the songwriting merits of Fiona Apple like far outweigh Billie Eilish's.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
It was more in like the vocal,
just the delivery style.
Yeah, more in just the vocal delivery and just like the singing style in general, I would say. And I think that that's a nod to Fiona Apple. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think it's a nod to Fiona Apple because I think that she influenced a lot of people, like, and has influenced a lot of people throughout the course of her career.
For sure. And I just don't know how, I mean, every album she's made is really, really good. I mean, in my opinion, at least. We've had Extraordinary Machines already on here, and I don't think this will be our last one. I think we'll get her debut, the title.
Oh, I think we're going to get both.
You think we're going to get...
Yeah, we're going to get Win the Pawn and
Win the Pawn as well?
Yeah,
which would be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to both.
And I feel like if this list was made a year later, we would get Fetch the Bolt Cutters too.
Well, okay, so let's circle back around to that conversation because I definitely want to explore... I want to talk about that more, but what was your favorite song? What was your least favorite song?
Okay. Favorite song. Oh man. Probably either Every Single Night or Valentine. Although the other ones that I loved were Daredevil, Hot Knife, and Largo. If I was to pick a favorite one, probably Valentine.
I loved the fucking piano on that.
Dude, I love it. So for me, she's like the queen of putting dissonance into like really accessible pop music. Although not all of this is accessible. Like there is definitely some stuff here that's pretty experimental. And I feel like a lot of people maybe wouldn't listen to some of the deeper cuts on this. Like a song like Regret, while I liked it, like there's not a whole lot that you can like grab onto like that's like traditional melodic, you know. I mean, at least from my listens.
The piano almost felt oppressive on Regret.
Yeah.
Like I didn't give it 0 stars because I don't think that any song on this record is...
I gave it 1 star and that's my lowest starred song. So if you're like in terms of answering your question of my least favorite, probably would be that.
Yeah. I put like a half because I didn't want to say that it wasn't worthy of anything, but it wasn't a huge in it for me. Left Alone was my favorite song.
I loved that one too.
I loved Left Alone. And Hot Knife. Hot Knife was probably like a very, very, very close second for me.
Hot Knife was super cool with that like midsection where they had all the vocal layers on it. Like all of the, I assume it was all her, came in. And that's such a good,
dude,
such a good hook.
She played the timpani on that song.
Okay, I wrote that down. I was like, what's that low bass drum? Is it a timpani?
That's a timpani. And that was her. She fucking played the timpani on that, which nice. I absolutely fucking loved.
This album is largely her and one other guy.
Yes. Fezzy and like Sezzy.
Or Feedy and CD.
Oh, Feedy and CD. Yeah. That's what it was.
That's what they nicknamed themselves. So Fiona was Feedy and the other guy's CD.
So one of my favorite parts of going through this was when a song would come on, I would try to guess what the fuck the noise was. And
because you couldn't on this.
No, but do you remember the song where they were slapping their thighs?
That's what that was. They were slapping their thighs, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember like when the song first comes on, like that's all you hear is like the sound of somebody slapping their thighs. And I thought to myself, holy fuck, are they just fucking slapping their thighs? And then I went out to read like the liner notes or whatever on the wiki because the wiki, it says like Feedy and CD, and then it just has like this huge laundry list of like the shit that they did on there. And I think Fiona Apple is Feedy, and
yeah, she is.
On both of them, it's like I think it references thigh slaps or something along.
She's credited as playing thighs on Daredevil.
Yep, oh, it's exactly. Daredevil. Okay.
And what I love, dude, she plays thighs. There's some funny stuff. Like the other guy's Charlie Drayton is his name, and he's credited as CD. And his like liner notes, what he gets credited with: Cora, auto harp, truck stomping, whatever the fuck that is, dance partner, percussion, guitar, bouzouki, marimba, drum set, voice string, thighs. Field recording, simply pillow, voice of pain. It just says voice of pain. And then, some others. But What was your favorite song, Justin?
It was actually probably Daredevil. And I guess I must listen to lyrics more than you guys. But like, what I really like, and I think only the most gifted like singer-songwriters that are playing their instrument while singing can pull this off, is like I can't remember the exact name of this like particular like literary and musical device. I think it might be like prosody, where like the lyrics, like the words you're using, like you reflect the words with the sounds that you're playing. And like she had this moment in Daredevil, and it's just one of many. Like if you listen to this again and look for these examples, I guarantee you'll find them. But it was like hip hip for the lift, hip hip for the drag, and like because she says drag, she drags the keys like over that line while she's singing. And like I love clever shit like that, and so like I was just obsessed with like that little moment. But there's other examples of it, and like I think that being a piano player and singer like she is, and for her to take advantage of that, to like manage both instruments, the voice and the piano, to like deliver a consistent message, is really cool.
She's the whole package, man. She plays it. She plays so many instruments so well.
Yeah.
She writes fantastic music. She has an incredible voice. She's super witty, obviously.
Are you guys down with the shouting?
Yeah. You mean like the No, which part?
No. So Daredevil, I made a note on that's the one where towards the end of that song, like she's yelling,
and her voice gets all crackly and starts breaking up and stuff, and the gravel to it.
She may need a chaperone.
It's not.
You didn't like it?
So I'm okay with it, but she's not singing. That's not singing. That's not singing anymore.
Well, it doesn't have to be.
It's not singing anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of, there's a part of me that drives me nuts about it, but then that part of me that goes nuts, another part of my brain goes, the fuck are you? What are you, Simon Cowell, dickhead? Like, what are you, fucking Paula Abdul now, dickhead? Like, who the fuck are you to say that that's not singing?
Well, that's your opinion, though. It's okay. Yeah.
Well,
you're right.
okay.
It's not. She's
it's
more
okay
like
that I
yelling.
have my opinion. It's okay. Yeah, I'm fine with me having an opinion. You're right. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I just don't know how valid it is. I mean, my opinion is valid. It's fine. It's just my opinion. It's like an asshole. Everybody has one. But I don't know why it's so off-putting to me. Because Zach De La Rocha does that all over Rage Against the Machine, and I fucking star the shit out of that. But, but
well, just like I was talking about the wavery thing that I like, but I said other versions of I would dislike, and it maybe would ruin something for me. Yeah. So it's just for whatever reason that her version of that doesn't jive with you.
I have to come clean and be honest with everybody when I say that I look for reasons to dislike Fiona Apple. And
because she's too good.
Yeah, I just can't fucking find any. It's almost annoying how fucking smart and talented she is.
I was mad, like, one, because I was on the subway most of the time while I was listening to this, and two, because as I was listening to this, like, how the fuck have I not heard this?
Yeah.
Like, there's a conspiracy against me to like make sure I didn't hear this or some shit. Like, what?
I thought you were joking earlier. Like,
I wasn't.
Earlier today, I was texting with Justin. For those who are unaware, which is everybody other than me and Justin, and
don't let JB fool you. He never talks to me. This is like a one-time thing.
This is one-off event. But he was like, "I'm really digging this Fiona Apple. Who is this? I haven't heard of her." And I was like, "You're fucking joking, right?" He was like, "No, I'm not joking at all." It's like, "Oh wow, well, you should listen to everything else by her."
And then, just so that you know, Justin, JB texted me and goes, "Dude, fucking Justin Handel's never heard of Fiona Apple. Can you believe that shit?"
Yeah, I felt bad. Felt like I was missing out.
So I do want to tell you this. Before you go to bed tonight, start listening to Fetch the Bolt Cutters. If you wind up going to bed before you finishing it all, I'll be shocked. Because you're
already watching that Lakers TV show, dude. You can only give me like one task at night.
Can you
already hit the quota? Does
he need to be able to hear the Lakers TV show, or could he just watch the pictures moving while he listens to Fetch the Bolt Cutters?
No, listen to Winning Time while you're watching it. But
like watch like the Spotify window, like count down like the minutes or seconds of the Fiona Apple album while listening to the audio of
the TV show. I think that'll do it. You'll get the picture. Yeah.
You need to listen to it because of what I'm getting ready to say. The next time this list comes out, I would expect Fetch the Bolt Cutters to be in this neighborhood of the list.
Or higher, or top 100, Fetch the Bolt Cutters is wild.
I got to go back and re-listen to Win the Pawn and Title, especially Title, because Title was so good, especially as a debut record. But to me, that's my favorite Fiona Apple. Is Fetch the Bolt. No,
Fetch the Bolt Cutters. I thought you were going to say Title.
Yeah. It's so much more mature and so much more thoughtful.
Yeah.
And fucking fun.
Same. Yeah.
Like,
I'll say the same thing.
Fun. All over Fetch the Bolt Cutters.
I'll say Fetch the Bolt Cutters is definitely my favorite version too. I will say, really confused with the disparity between the two records we've had thus far. Like, what makes this so much better than Extraordinary Machines? Because it's 200 spots away. I think they're both great. I don't think this one is that much better than Extraordinary Machines. I don't know. Maybe it was more influential. I don't know. I think I liked Extraordinary Machines just as much as this one. I think it was just as sonically interesting. I think like the songwriting was just as good. I don't understand why the placement is so far apart.
I agree with you 100%. And I think you could listen to all 5 of her records and they're always unmistakable. You always know, like, now that you know Fiona Apple, Justin, you will never not know Fiona Apple. And when Fiona Apple comes on, you'll know immediately that it's Fiona Apple because her voice is so unique and it's so characteristic just to her. And so, yeah, I'm with you. I don't.
Yeah.
Fucking good luck.
It's kind of like arbitrary. Like I don't really understand of any good reasoning why this would be that much higher because they're not close.
No.
It seems to me, just from like a super brief reading, and I think you guys kind of mentioned this, is like that first album was a little more juvenile, and maybe that's a strong word to use, but it's like this one is a little more like methodical and planned.
Well, and that's the greatest irony thing, because I think Extraordinary Machines was the most recent one. I think this one, well, I know this one was released third when The Pawn was second and Title was first. So it's literally,
Wasn't this one the most
No,
recent?
Extraordinary Machine was 05.
Yeah, this one was after
Oh,
Extraordinary. So
This one was 2012.
interesting.
So this was her last one before Fetch Bolt Cutters.
I mean, I'm basically now just gonna be fanboying over Fiona Apple for like the next several weeks. So I'll get back to you with anything you need to know.
Next time.
Yeah.
Next time.
Our resident Fiona Apple expert.
So okay, so I want to see Fetch the Bolt Cutters in this spot. Now, what would I do with this record? I mean, probably nothing. In terms of placement. If I find the vinyl, I'll buy it.
Oh, fuck yeah. I'll buy any of them. So
yeah,
these are great
too.
Yeah.
I won't buy Fetch the Bolt Cutters.
She's so good. And I kind of know what you're saying. Like, you want to find something not to like about her just because it's annoying, like how perfect everything is.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? This can't be the case.
Yeah.
She must have some kind of ghostwriter or something. Like, but she, I don't know. She's
and
really
from
good.
everything that I've read about her, like, she actually seems like a really, really kind of fun, clever, I mean, obviously super intelligent, super smart person too.
Yeah.
It's just fucking even worse.
Wasn't she kind of like a prodigy, like musically? Was she was like at a really young age, like maybe going to some fancy music school or something? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
You might be thinking of Tori Amos.
I think okay. I knew that, but
I don't know if Fiona Apple did that. I don't know if she followed that same road or not.
She was classically trained on the piano as a child, began composing her own pieces by the age of 8. She, when learning, it says, just reading straight off Wikipedia, it says, when learning to play the piano, she would often take sheet music and translate guitar tablature into the corresponding notes. She began to play.
Nerd.
Yeah.
She won a Grammy for a song she wrote at 17.
Was it
Criminal?
Criminal?
That's Criminal.
Yeah.
You definitely know that song, Justin. I'd be really surprised if you didn't recognize it when you heard it, when you go and listen to it.
Yeah.
Look, my ignorance has no bounds, man. So
I mean, despite that being true, yeah. Okay, well, let's move on. If anybody else doesn't have any thoughts on this one, okay. Number 212, we have Nina Simone, "Wild is the Wind" from 1966. Aretha was the queen of soul, but Nina Simone, as one of her album titles proclaimed, was its high priestess. And this 1966 LP is among her most enthralling and eclectic. With her dusky voice at its most commanding, Simone works her way through roadhouse soul, as in I Love Your Loving Ways, and dramatic set pieces with the melancholic Lilac Wine, later covered by Jeff Buckley. It peaks with Four Women, an ambitious saga of racially diverse women and their struggles, written by Simone. Are they really racially diverse? Aren't all those women like black women, like in like kind of the era of the ending of slavery?
Oh, Four Women.
Yeah.
So that's kind of fascinating because I'm not a lyrics guy, but you don't have a whole lot of choice with this record, and with that song in particular, Four Women, you don't have a ton of choice. So on the cold listen, I kind of picked up on like the first story, and then by the third story, I was like, oh fuck, wait a minute, where's she going with this? And actually, I think that she's talking about 4 women across 4 generations.
Yeah.
Right. So the first woman that she's talking about was basically like a house slave.
Was a house slave.
The second woman was
the daughter of a white man and one of his slaves.
No, wasn't that the mom? The second woman was the mom who gets taken by the slave owner. And then the third woman, I thought, was the daughter of. Is that what it was?
I'm not sure. And I thought the third one was like the prostitute one. because one of them is a prostitute.
It's not necessarily generational. It's meant to cover like 4 different archetypes.
Okay, so the third woman
third is a prostitute, referred to as sweet thing. And then the fourth one is Peaches.
Saffarina. Oh no, Peaches. Oh, so Saffarina was the woman.
The second
was,
one.
Okay.
Second, yeah. Saffronia.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like my skin is black is the first one. My skin is yellow. Then my hair is fine, and then my name is Peaches. Like those are like the 4 like
women.
Like like the 4 lines that define the women like in the song.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I see you then. I get it. Why they?
So the only song on the record written by Nina Simone as well
is that one.
Yeah.
Is 4 women. Yeah.
That's a fucking monster though, dude. I put 4 stars next to it, 1 for each of them.
I did 5. 1 for each.
So have you guys heard the story of OJ by Jay-Z on that 444 album that came out?
Yes.
3 years ago?
Yeah.
So it sampled this song, and it's good. It is really good song.
Dude, I got to go back and listen to that now, because I guess I didn't. I mean, I probably knew maybe that it was a Nina Simone sample, but I certainly wouldn't have been familiar with this particular song.
Yeah.
And I think that Jay-Z does a good job of making his lyrics like kind of a similar message.
Yeah.
Like how you so this is like 4 archetypes of like African American women. At least that is one description of it that I've read. But like he kind of like does make it more about the generational component of like building like generation to generation, like making the right choices to like build from, like he talks about like real estate and like investments, and so like it's all pragmatic like investment advice. It's actually a really interesting song and also really, really cool.
Yeah. And a fucking dope video too. If you haven't seen the video for the story of OJ, that's a fucking rad video that Jay-Z made for that song too.
I definitely haven't.
Yeah, you should check it out.
We'll watch.
So Wild as the Wind, we talked about that.
Yeah, Wild as the Wind is wild as the wind.
Yeah, and that fucking song is amazing. That to me is the best representation of her as a pianist, because
she's all over the place,
and she's a fucking ridiculous pianist.
It's super virtuosic. It's very like rubato song, meaning that it's not like quite a set tempo throughout. It's pretty breathing, and it's like just slow down. She speeds up, and she's all over the place on the piano, like these crazy fluttery lines that just bounce up and down. Her voice is really interesting. It's really low. Do you like it?
Yeah, it's super fucking unique.
I think it's beautiful. Yeah, it's way unique. I don't know if anybody else that I would compare her to.
Yeah, I don't know, because she's basically a tenor.
Honestly,
right?
And this isn't really like a good comparison, but like the only woman I can think of that like sings like even in this range is like that girl from Alabama Shakes. She kind of sings in a similar.
Brittany Howard.
Like she's definitely kind of a tenor too, right? Or am I totally misremembering?
No, I don't think you're misremembering, but it's the way Nina Simone.
Yeah, the delivery is completely different. I'm not comparing that at all.
No. But just the quality of her voice. Yeah,
just like the range that it sits in.
I think that's the best contemporary.
Yeah.
To Nina Simone is Brittany Howard. Like I think that's a really good contemporary. But again, that like the delivery and even the quality of Nina Simone's voice, just because she does some Fiona Apple shit.
She does some wavery shit.
Yeah, like, but it's intentional to create a mood, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Especially like a song like "Wild as the Wind," which she really stretches out, and like the vocal delivery on it is just haunting because of the style with which she presents it. I mean, because she recorded other versions of that song which were much faster.
Mm-hmm. What did you think about Black as the Color of My True Love's Hair?
Loved it. Gave it 4 stars. Loved her getting like a falsetto from her, at the beginning. It's like falsetto. And then at the end, it's like some of the lowest singing that she did on the whole album. So it just kind of showcases her range there.
I love the bowed bass on it.
Yep, absolutely.
It was fucking really, really cool to hear a bowed bass behind basically jazz. I mean, they loosely call this album jazz. I don't know that I would call it jazz, but I don't know what the fuck else I would call it either.
Yeah, I think it's jazz. I don't know. Yeah, because I don't know what else you would. I mean, it's not like jazz is such a crazy wide genre.
It's
There's
really
so
big.
many subgenres of jazz. This is like vocal jazz. I mean, she definitely plays the piano in a jazzy way, but like vocally, I mean, like you compare it to like probably the only other thing on this list that you could compare it to would be Billie Holiday.
That's funny. The loosest kind of jazz.
I'll say per my data set, it is strictly jazz.
Per your data set.
Yeah, exactly.
How many do you have access? Are you at that right now? Like, can I ask you a question and have you look it up?
Yep.
How many jazz records are there on the list?
Fucking not enough.
I think this came up because on the first episode I was on, one of them was the
Alice Coltrane.
Alice Coltrane, Journey. And it was, I remember calling, I was very unique in that it was a female jazz musician that wasn't the lead vocalist. Like every other female jazz artist on this is just the vocalist. With the exception of Nina Simone, I guess, because she plays the piano and she does it very well.
Yeah.
But jazz is only mentioned 13 times.
Roberta Flack is also a pianist and vocalist.
But is she under jazz or is she under soul? Roberta Flack.
Yeah, I would think that Roberta Flack is not under jazz.
No, she's definitely.
She gets a soul, and she's called soul and jazz, so she would count as one of the 13. The album that she does have one album that's counted as jazz, is what I'll say.
That's crazy, dude. That there's only 13 jazz records on here because I feel like we've probably seen the vast majority of it, right?
And you'd be fucking hard pressed to like talk about a genre that's had more impact on music as a whole than jazz.
It's the only American art form.
Exactly, and so that is crazy. Yeah, the loosest kind of jazz, says Manuel Moiner.
Thanks, Manny.
Yeah,
appreciate you.
I should have just said Manny. I don't know why I tried to.
Tried to make it fancier.
Yeah.
Breakdown, Let It All Out. Love that song.
That's like a rock song.
Yeah,
she gets a little grittier there.
I love the horns on That's All I Ask.
And then she has a few very comparable, you could almost probably mistake them for each other, like jazz love ballads that, while I say that, they are all very good. Songs like What More Can I Say?
Yeah, What More Can I Say? Lilac Wine.
Lilac Wine. Why Keep On Breaking My Heart. Pretty similar, but they're very good. They're jazz ballads, great piano playing, nice slow swing, great bass playing.
Yeah.
I loved the opening one. That's really the only, like, they call her the High Priestess of Soul, but that's really the only song that I would really call like a soul song. Is the first.
Have you guys seen the Summer of Soul?
No, not yet.
Questlove? You have to see it. It's incredible, and like Nina Simone's in it, and I think if you get that footage of her like doing her live performance, like the High Priestess comparison might make a little more sense.
Okay, I'll watch it for sure.
Yeah, I gotta watch that now. All right, done.
Yeah, it's a lot of like commentary in the background about like the setting and about how like everybody knows Woodstock, but very few people know about this like cultural festival in Harlem that had like Nina Simone, Sly and the Family Stone, like Stevie Wonder. Like, how is that not like the biggest thing that ever happened? Anyways, that's kind of the point of the documentary, but like it's an incredible documentary, and the live footage from it is worth the watch for sure.
What's that streaming on, Justin?
I believe it's on Hulu and maybe also Disney Plus.
Nice. Very, very nice.
I recommend it to literally anybody that likes music, period, at all, ever.
If you're listening to this, don't fucking watch that. For sure, don't watch it.
Whoa.
No, I'm just joking.
I don't like music, so I won't. I guess that rules me out.
Yeah, I'm fucking out.
I mean, it won an Oscar, and the Oscars don't condone violence, but they do condone the Summer of Soul. So
good to know. Good to know. No one was slapped in the making of that film.
Nobody was slapped in the making.
I don't know if we could go that far.
Yeah, I'm sure there were some slaps.
I wasn't there.
So as far as Nina Simone, are you guys happy with the placement?
I have to think there's more Nina Simone on this list.
Justin, will you tell us if we get I Put a Spell on You on this list?
And now you're mine.
Not by Nina Simone.
Fuck. That's criminal, dude.
Criminal.
And not
Yeah, she's
like a
got-
Fiona
Not like
Apple.
Fiona Apple criminal.
Not like a Fiona Apple criminal either. Not like a
the good
happy-go-lucky
kind.
fucking #1 on the Billboard charts. I don't think that we're gonna get any more Nina Simone then.
Are you looking at it, Justin?
Yeah, you can ask. I will answer any question you ask, but I'm going to try to withhold any.
Is there more Nina Simone on the list?
No.
Ooh. So there's
Damn
only
it.
one.
Spoilers.
This is the only one.
Yes, the only one. Yeah.
Wild. So knowing that it's the only one, would you move it up? Do you think Nina Simone is worth moving up? Because think about Roberta Flack, dude.
Roberta Flack was too low.
She was like 461.
She should be way higher.
Yeah.
And this is probably in a good spot. It could move up a little bit for me. I'm not going to put it in the top 100, but that probably is speaking a lot more to my personal listening, than it really is what I think is like most impactful. Because I mean, this is probably she was undoubtedly a massive influence. Yeah, I'd move it up a little bit. I'd put it at 150.
I'm gonna hold. I'm gonna reserve judgment. I'm gonna reserve judgment for now. Like I'm cool with the placement of where it's at, but I could see myself moving it up, but I kind of want to see what's in the next 60
for sure.
150 to 200 to me is going to be really, really fascinating because I think there's going to be a fuck ton of records in there that I call bullshit on.
Yeah, that's like prime bullshit calling position.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Because that's really fucking high on the list.
Like top 100 is going to be hard. I'm sure a lot of those are going to be hard to argue with. They're going to be like, obviously that's there. We know what it is, especially like top 50.
I think there's going to be a lot to fucking argue with in the top
You think so?
50.
Cool. That'll be. I hope so.
I think there could be a lot to fucking argue with in the next 50 coming up. We'll see.
Cool.
All right.
What do you think, Justin? You like the position? You want it down, up?
I think every single jazz album should move up. Like if you're only going to pick 13, then I think that
They better
you
be
need to move them all up because, Mikey pointed this out just a couple minutes ago, like this is like the only true American art form that's like uniquely American. I guess I would argue that maybe blues belongs in that category as well, like original blues, like Delta blues that was born out of like
Robert Johnson, even Chicago blues, right? Like, I mean,
Howlin'
obviously that was, but again, you don't get
Muddy
any
Waters.
of that. Do you get
None of it
any
without
of that without? Yeah, you don't get any of that without jazz, right?
Yeah. So I just think I'll refrain from commenting on just Billie Holiday alone, but sorry, not Billie Holiday, Nina Simone, but like every jazz album deserves to be higher on this list because of how underrepresented it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yep. I am too. Buy it on vinyl?
I would.
Yep.
I might buy I Put a Spell on You first because I love her version of that song.
Yeah. No, it's great.
Love it.
I would buy them both for sure. I think these would be great. Put on in the background.
Yeah,
for
just
dinner.
put it on the background for dinner. Do it anytime. Well, should we talk about a really depressed man that wound up killing himself?
Before we talk about the last album, who do you have in mind?
My bad. I thought you wanted to talk about the last album.
Yes, let's talk about the last album.
From 1980, number 211, we're going to talk now about Joy Division's debut album, Unknown Pleasures. Joy Division came from the northern England industrial gloom of Manchester, four blue-collar lads chasing a kind of goth punk grandeur. Right from the opening, Disorder, Unknown Pleasures sounds like nothing else, with the doomed Ian Curtis yelping his dark poetry, I got the spirit, over Peter Hook's bass pulse. But for all the despair, there's something inspiring in the surge of Interzone and New Dawn faces. Black-clad young bands have been imitating Joy Division ever since. What y'all think about this here Joy Division? Not very joyful, motherfuckers.
It's definitely not joyful.
They lied to us.
They did. It's
right out
false
of the fucking
advertising.
Actually, it's perfect advertising. It's a division between you and joy.
This one's kind of a hard egg to crack, this album. And not because it's overly complex.
No.
But I will say, I listened to this album probably 4 times all the way through. And I liked it more than I did the first time at the end, which I can't say that about sometimes it's the opposite, But with this one, I mean, when I got to the end, I finally started to think. I gotta say, I'll say right off the bat, I'm still pretty flabbergasted at the position of this and how high it is.
Yeah.
But I get why it's good and why it's heralded as an important album. You know, although I do think this is maybe one of those cases that we've talked so much about, where the derivative ended up being,
way better
with these, especially with the because a big huge part of the celebration of this album surrounds around the producer and his experimentation that he was doing and the new techniques that he was putting in punk, which had never really used those kinds of techniques in the studio. Like you talked about.
Talking about delays,
They
would intentionally fucking record things in really, really bizarre fashions so that they could make like his vocals sound weird.
So it was a massively important album for those reasons,
Yeah.
And not only for those reasons, but that was a big part of it. And I feel like maybe, that definitely influenced a lot of people, and some of the stuff that it led to is better than this.
The cover art is worth noting as well.
Really cool. Yeah.
It's wild too. Like I was in Austin a couple of weeks ago and they had inside of a store on South Congress that was selling t-shirts, a t-shirt with that design on it. But instead of just the little mountains that, were in the original artwork, all those little mountains, they had turned into the tiny little shapes of Texas. And so it looked the same, but it was tiny little shapes of Texas. No, I'll probably go back and buy it. Like the next time that I go into Triple C, I'll probably buy it just because it is kind of cool. And now that I've read up on the whole history of what the fuck that is on the cover of that, like it's been ripped off and kind of bastardized all over the place. Yeah. It's insanely fucking famous.
Yeah. We should kind of mention the fact that the album that came out here, and this is their debut album, was absolutely like not representative of what this band really was
at all.
Yeah, this band was like a raging high energy punk show. That was what they're all about, was just dirty guitars. It was no polish whatsoever, and this really does not get that across, which some of the band members liked and some didn't.
Yeah.
Like I think it was Peter Hook, who's the bass player, who basically said this was not who we were at all. I didn't like how it came out.
That's right.
But then other guys, like some of the other guys, were like, you know what? Like, why would we want it to be the exact same thing that we do at a show? When people go to a show, they don't want to hear an album. They want to hear the show.
They want the energy.
And he liked the fact that this was a, that it captured polar opposite.
Yeah, it captured something different. And so therefore, when people came to the live show, they would get the energy and everything else that they didn't necessarily get from here.
Yeah.
But if all you had done was bought this record and then went to a Joy Division show, you'd probably be like, yo, what the fuck?
I did not expect
Where
this.
was that band that I was supposed to come see?
Was Joy Division not here tonight? Yeah.
Why did they get replaced with these fucking punks?
These lunatics.
I think I probably would have preferred the show instead of the album.
I think I would have too. Yeah. So you didn't like the album, Justin? Not a fan at all. Yeah. Had you listened to other Joy Division?
No,
because we did have one other Joy Division.
Yeah, we did.
My concern after reading a little bit into it and about Ian Curtis is that it's one of those things that gets posthumously glorified without good reason other than like sympathy.
Oh, I like where your head is at. I think there's more to Joy Division than that. Only because of New Order. Does that make sense?
That was the other album?
No. So the 3 surviving members of Joy Division went on to form New Order. And New Order was I would argue hugely influential in post-punk.
Yeah.
So I think that's why Joy Division gets some love, is just because of what New Order went on to do after the fact.
We had a New Order album on here, did we not?
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Power, Corruption, and Lies or something.
Oh, you motherfucker.
I don't know why that just came to me. Is that close to it?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Correct. Number 262.
Well done, dude.
I even knew that too. 262. Yep.
Not get cocky, kid. All right. What was your favorite song?
Okay. Favorite song was for sure New Dawn Fades.
Yep, me too.
Really?
4 stars.
Nice. Yeah, I like that one a lot.
The vocals.
The vocals were
his
really
best,
good.
That was, and listen, I fucking hate that dude. Like his like I didn't like his voice.
He's like a shitty combination of David Byrne and Jim Morrison.
Okay, so the Jim Morrison reference, like I'm all over that because he sounded like a version of Jim Morrison that just hated himself.
Yeah, definitely. There were times where I didn't hate his vocals. I'm trying to think, like, I know there was at least one song where I made a note that I was enjoying his vocals. Maybe the first one I didn't hate. The vocal hook was pretty okay on that, but like the last song, while I did like the music of I Remember Nothing, the last song, the vocals were just killing me on that one. I didn't like the delivery on that at all.
Justin, do you want to jump in?
I was going to say he sounds like Orville Peck. And actually, Anne pointed that out to me. Or maybe that it'd be more accurate to say Orville Peck sounds like Joy Division. The vocalist, at least.
I'm not overly familiar. I know who Orville Peck is, but I can't hear his voice in my head at all.
Yeah.
He's a Canadian punk rock turned cowboy.
Country. Yeah.
Well, I also put actually, I Remember Nothing, that last song that we were just talking about. That was actually one of my more heavily starred songs.
Because I loved the music on it.
And that's the thing. I love the music too. But literally one of my notes was more of that wannabe Jim Morrison shit here too.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that. Going back to New Dawn Fades though, the guitar melody that's in that is just so good. Like you can hear the dark like desperation in it almost. Like it starts off and it starts the song off and it's just such a dark minor key melody and it's so simple. And it's in a low register. And then at the end, it comes back in, but it's in a much higher register.
The end guitar, that end guitar section,
it's cool.
Fucking crushes.
That's my favorite moment.
It's
that
really,
end.
really dope. What did you think about Shadow Play though?
I like that one. Yeah.
I liked the guitar in that.
I wrote that this one was probably really cool live.
Yeah.
Seeing that one.
Yeah.
I was trying to think because it is kind of unique styling, at least on this record. Maybe it wasn't as unique live. Maybe there were other bands doing similar things, but I mean, it's like punk, but it's like really slow and dark and spacey. It's almost like doom punk. doom
punk.
Yeah, like doom metal, but the punk version.
The punk version.
Yeah.
You
heard it here first.
I think it was actually just punk. It just came off as doom punk because of the production.
Because of the production, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like the live version, I'm sure wasn't that, but at least on the album. What'd you think of Interzone?
I try not to.
All right.
It's weird because they layered the vocals on that. Did you notice that?
Yeah, it has Peter Hook singing on that one. But also
that's why it sounds layered.
Well, because I think it was Peter Hook plus Ian Curtis. But like musically, that was a totally different song than the rest of the album. Like that was like the riff on it was like 80s rock almost. It was almost like a ZZ Top style riff or like Deep Purple. It sounded like go back and listen to that song.
Really basic.
It sounds nothing like the rest of this album.
Yeah. I mean, I just made note that it was just really, really simple. And for me, it was okay. I didn't like the vocal layers on that at all. Like it didn't go anywhere either. Like there was no build. It just didn't.
Yeah.
It was very forgettable for me.
Yeah. I gave it 0 stars, but I'm just saying, like, I made note of the fact that it was so different than the rest of it. So kind of was weird to me. Yeah. So probably, what was your favorite song, Justin? Did you like any songs?
I listened to this whole album front to back twice, and I can honestly say not one time did I like pick up my phone to like be like, oh, what song? What's the name of this song? That's cool. Didn't happen one time.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
Yeah.
Now I'm like you. I probably listened to this record because like I did a cold listen probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. Like I did a cold listen a long time ago, and I've listened to it another 3 times since then. So I've probably gone through this record 4 times. Like, hoping for kind of an Elliott Smith moment.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it took me a fucking long time before I had that moment with Elliott Smith. But then whenever it happened, God damn it. Like I created so much more meaning in subsequent listens, like after I had that moment. And I was hoping for that with this one. And I don't know. And I can't do his fucking voice anymore to hope that it comes later.
Yeah. You're giving up.
I mean, yeah, it is what it is.
Which you should. I'm not faulting you. I'm probably doing the same.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not gonna buy the vinyl. I've seen this vinyl multiple times, and it's not gonna entice me any further from this point.
You're not one of those guys that will get it just because the artwork is cool.
No, I'll buy the T-shirt instead with the little states of Texas on it instead.
Yeah, I would definitely get the album just for the artwork.
I know what I'm getting you for your birthday, but it's gonna be an alternate cover.
Yeah, actually, the most valuable record I have is an alternate cover. So,
yeah, this won't be one of those.
Velvet Underground and Nico, and instead of the banana Warhol thing, it's the Coke bottle one. It's a Dutch pressing alternate cover. It's like by far the most valuable record I own.
What?
Jesus Christ! Are you being serious? You own that?
I'm dead serious.
Wow, that actually sounds super fucking cool.
Super random find. Like I didn't like buy it at an auction, like just super random Madison, Wisconsin find. Like they just buy warehouses of records at a time and then cycle them through, and I just happened to stumble into it.
So it's got a Warhol Coke instead of a Warhol banana?
Yeah.
Fucking rad.
Do you think I could fit it in my backpack? Like just theoretically? Like how thick? I mean
Baby, now I know whenever you visit I have to like put a lock on the cabinet.
That's right. Hide the Velvet Underground and Nico.
My retirement plan.
Bad idea. Not a bad idea. Yeah. Okay. So I definitely want to move this down. Probably a couple hundred spots.
You want to move it down to like 520?
I don't know, man. Just the influence that it did have, I can see it being on here. I would be comfortable leaving it in the 4s.
Okay, so and we would have to go back and audit ourselves since we're sans a production manager in permanence, apparently. Do you think that we kept the original? Did we keep the first fucking?
I feel like we did. I feel like we kept it.
Yeah. Do you want to keep it now?
I don't even remember it at this point. Do you? Did you go back and listen to it again?
No.
Do you remember it?
No.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and listen.
Should Joy Division and New Order, like if you look at them both as a collective, should there be multiple albums?
Power, Corruption, and Lies, number 262. Should that be on there?
I'm not your production manager, and I haven't been keeping count. But I could say with some confidence that you guys have, in the first, however far you are now, like 280, 290 songs or albums, you have probably recommended that like 100 of them go between 450 and 500.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah.
So not a lot of room left in there.
Well, I'm sure there's also been several that we've taken off, and several that we moved up. So
I'm okay with one being on the list. I don't want. I mean, I don't want to see both Joy Division records on the list. I'd rather just have this one. I should probably go back and listen to the other one first, I guess, maybe before I say that. But I'm okay with keeping it on here for influence. But it's gotta fall.
It's got to come down quite a bit.
Yeah, probably.
I just don't get it.
Yeah, I'm with you, Justin, and that's why I want it to fall because I don't get it.
Yeah,
I think when I know that there's like a hip album, it's like, you know, the cool people are like, oh yeah, Joy Division, are you kidding me? Yeah, man, that's the
you
stuff.
don't know any of those people that are saying that.
I don't know any of those people, but I know they're out there. I hear about them, but you know, I don't know, when you're like aware of like that phenomenon, like I feel like when I am in a position to try to like to find it, to try to find what makes this good, I'm never going to hear it. But if it like, you know, just like hits me upside the head unexpectedly, kind of like Fiona Apple, then I get it. Like it, but I feel like I came into this one just like waiting to be wowed, and I never was.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
That's an easy
trick. My fault
too. Yeah.
It's really my fault. I'm sorry, Joy Division.
Yeah.
It's me, not you.
That's right.
Yeah. It's me.
Well, Justin, we really do appreciate you coming on again. And
Absolutely.
obviously this won't be the last time.
Mm-mm.
So
Should we preview next week, though?
let's go ahead and preview next week.
Let's preview the next show.
Yeah, the next show. It might not be
is a
next
bit
week.
next week is a bit of a misnomer. But let's preview the next show.
So 210, we have Ray Charles, The Birth of Soul, which is an anthology.
Yeah, that's a 2.5 hour adventure there, friends. So if you're playing along at home,
Get going because you're going to need a while.
yeah. Number 209, fucking did a cold listen on this morning, and I can't wait to talk about Run DMC's 1986 record, Raising Hell.
Nice. 2008, we have Lil Wayne, The Carter 3, A Millionaire. A milli. Remember that song, Justin? I was talking to Mike last episode when we were talking about that one, about how that song was really popular when we were like seniors in high school, and I think I know every single word from A Milli.
I burned down more joints to this album than any other album on this list, guaranteed.
What? Seriously?
Guaranteed. Not kidding.
Wow.
Wow.
The album of L's. Okay.
Interesting.
207, the self-titled Eagles debut from 1972.
206, we have David Bowie's Low.
Dude, are you familiar with that?
Yeah. Are you?
Wasn't until today.
Yeah.
So, Justin, you made mention earlier about how you were waiting to be wowed, and like you only know if something's good if like you stop what you're doing to be like, what the fuck am I hearing? What's happening? I had that today. I had one of those moments today while I was cold listening Low by David Bowie.
Low is a new one for me, so now I'm excited.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna try to remove my like expectations.
Remove those preconceived notions. Throw those in the garbage.
Well,
yeah,
one
David Bowie sucks, man, and I'll be shocked.
He always has. Yeah.
Well, one other thing that I'm gonna throw out there, and we can talk about it more during the next show, but this album was heavily influenced by one fucking Brian Eno. And I'm not saying that this shit sandwich is gonna taste good, but I'm probably gonna wind up eating at least the nub end of a shit sandwich when it comes to fucking Brian Eno.
So you guys have already done Another Green World, right? By Brian Eno.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
Yeah, it was so amazing. It was revolutionary.
I'll Come Running to Tie Your Shoe. Right? That's the greatest love song in the history of music. I'm not kidding.
What?
Greatest love song. Listen to it again.
It wasn't even included on 69 Love Songs. Okay, so there's no way that that's fucking true.
Well, when a song transcends love itself.
Okay.
I think it's wrong.
With that, we better stop the bullshit pipe.
Yeah. I'm not kidding though. Like I'll Come Running by Brian Eno on Another Green World is like, it's one of my favorite songs of all time.
Yeah. We'll have to you should listen back to that episode and see just
I must have missed that one because I probably stopped going to the gym for a period of time, and you guys are my gym podcast.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks again. Thanks for listening, guys. Thank you, Justin, for being here.
Mm-hmm.
We hope you'll do it again. And yeah, with that, we'll see you next episode, guys.
Mm-hmm. Bye-bye.
This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. It sucks.